and take meaningful action through Rotary service. Our club demonstrates every day how we are living President Maloney's mission with our local and international service projects through unity, connections, and action. My name is Jacqueline Thornhill, and I am honored to serve as your 97th president of the greatest Rotary Club in the world. And to avoid another senior moment, I have written this down. If you have your cell phone, please take it out and participate in our Facebook live stream. On this day in TV history in 2007, The Simpsons movie opened in the U.S. In music history in 1964, the Beatles' album A Hard Day's Night hit #1 in the U.S. and the UK. And in president history, in 2000, President Clinton announced that the leaders of Israel and the Palestinians had been unable to reach an agreement at this time. The two groups had been talking at Camp David for over 2 weeks. And quote of the day from Phyllis Diller: "We spent the first 12 months of our children's lives teaching them to walk and talk, and the next 12 telling them to sit down and shut up." Our invocation today will be led by Deb Granda.
Thank you, President Jackie. Rotarians are just ordinary people with extraordinary hearts. They give of their time to teach, to listen, to help, to inspire, to build, to grow, and to learn. They expect nothing in return, yet the value of their work knows no limit. They've known the unexpected joy of a simple hug from a child with a new book or a parent with a new home. They've planted the tiny seeds of love in countless ways. Rotarians are just ordinary people who reach out, take a hand, and together we connect the world. We make a difference that lasts a lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Our song leader today is Renee Gamero.
Morning. Please join me in the singing of God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night, grant the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, through the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And past President Michael Gordon, are you ready to swing into action, Michael?
Yes, Madam President.
Now we'll have our introductions. Please remember to hold all our applause until all our visitors and guests have been introduced. International Rotarians, Deb Granda. Everyone, please.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, Rotarians. We actually have a busy day today with international visitors. Initially, to my left, I have Abdi Dubat. Abdi is visiting us from Kenya today, and his classification is accountant, and I'll let him give you a little bit of information about himself.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians, Madam President, and family of Rotary. My name is Abdi Dubat. I am from the Rotary Club of Langata, Nairobi, Kenya. By classification, I'm an accountant. I'm also the director for fundraising for this Rotary year, 2019-2020. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. My first time in Las Vegas and my first time in an American Rotary Club. And I am very happy to be here. The energy in this club reminds me of the energy in my club because my club is the largest club in the district, which the district comprises 4 countries. That's Kenya, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and South Sudan, and we are the largest. And I feel really comfortable at home here. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. And I'd like to present you with our flag for you to bring back to your club.
Can I take a picture as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Can we do camera?
Thank you very much, Tina.
Just remember, we're still the greatest Rotary Club in the world.
Normally we say we are the greatest Rotary Club in the world. Madam President, today I will say we are the second greatest.
Thank you.
Also on my left, we have Patricia Paproki. Patricia is visiting from Argentina. Her classification is attorney. And with her, she's brought her husband, Rodrigo Gomez. And I'll let Patricia tell you a little bit about herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Patricia Paprowski from Argentina. My club is Posadas Norte, 4540. I born with Rotary. My father is a Rotarian. He's past government of the district. I growing up with all the Rotarian family. So after 5 years, I decided to be a Rotarian and help people. And I don't know, I love Rotary. I love to help people. And now I am president of community service. So I think there is a place that you can do a lot of things. So nice to meet you, and thank you for receiving me.
Welcome.
And here's a flag for you to bring back to your club as well.
Visiting Rotarians.
No,
raise your
I
hand.
have, Jackie, excuse me, I have one more.
Okay, one more. Sorry.
Sorry. I have over here, visiting with Adrian Cox, I have Renu Rambada. Did I butcher that? Renu is from Perth, Australia, and her classification is community services. And she was also past president of her Interact Club, correct? Rotaract Club. I'll let her tell you about herself.
Thank you. Thanks for a warm welcome, everyone. So I'm from sunny Perth, Australia. Not so sunny at the moment, it's winter there, so it's a nice change to come to Las Vegas and see some sun. My journey with Rotary and Rotaract has been since 2013. I've been with the Rotaract Club of Perth for 5 years, and then I moved into the Rotary Club of Perth, so I've been there for a year, and I'm International Services Director from last year and going into this year. So it's been very special to come see the club in Las Vegas as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
And here's a flag for you to bring back to your club. Oh, can we do
Any
one
more?
picture with her phone?
Visiting Rotarians. Visiting Rotarians, raise your hand, please. Do we have any visiting Rotarians today?
They're all watching the rugby because South Africa beat Australia in the rugby. Kenya plays in the sevens, and then the Pumas from Argentina almost beat New Zealand this weekend. So it's all about
that's
rugby,
where they
right?
are. Okay,
All about rugby.
got it. Okay, how about guests of Rotarians then? Guests of Rotarians, raise your hand.
Yes, you have a guest.
Yes, I have a guest. I brought with me today my nurse and wife, Major Cheryl Kenneman of the Salvation Army. You may not have heard, but I have an extended illness that's going to take a while to recover from. So I'm here today. It's one of my first outings into the community, and I'm happy to be here.
See, here's another
Guests of
rugby guy.
Rotarians.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say for the Australian, Perth, Australia, go the Western Force, and hopefully you get a lot of chance to talk to this South African rugby guy over here and straighten him out. But today, first of all, I'd like to introduce Candace, and she's my guest today, all the way from the top of the Mandalay Bay at the Foundation Room in House of Blues. She's our first Rotarian meeting, and it's great to have her here visiting with us today.
Welcome. Any more guests of Rotarians? Introduce my guests at the head table, Dr. Andy Kuniyuki, past President Randy Campanelli, and our speaker, past President Tom Thomas. Let's welcome all our visiting Rotarians and guests, please. I'd like to thank the Rotarians who helped out today. Setup was Val Hatley, greeters Carrie Gross and Barbara Billitzer, invocation Deb Granda, song leader Renee Gamero, teardown will also be Renee Gamero, Sergeant at Arms is Assistant Governor and past President Michael Gordon. Photographer today is Tina. Tickets are Janice Lenke and Deb Granda. All things technical are always Kirk Holmes and Stu Lipoff. Facebook, Francesca Gilbert and Kevin Cloney. A couple of announcements today. Remember the People of Action campaign. Please send your People of Action photos to me. And a reminder that your monthly or quarterly contributions to our Las Vegas Rotary Foundation is what helps our projects such as Santa Claus, Wetzel, Ryla, the Canned Food Drive, community grants, and others. So thank you very much. A reminder that the 30th Annual District 5300 Peace Conference will be held on November 16th at the Treasure Island. And some sad news today. A former member who had to resign due to illness, Mike Sexton, has recently passed away. We're going to be sending around a card. We'd like all of you to please sign it. And today, since this is the fourth Thursday of the month, it is a Rotarian of the Month that I'll do each last Thursday. And today, for his energy and passion for the committee that he chairs, for his regular communication with me about everything, it just gets done. We are scheduled out for program speakers 3 months. The Rotarian of the Month of July is Program Chair, Dr. Andy Kuniyuki. Okay, a short break for fellowship. Past President Michael, are you ready? Hey, you want to take the mic to Carrie Gross for an announcement about the Alpine Picnic Saturday.
Hi guys, so Alpine Picnic is this Saturday. We'll have a 9 a.m. hike led by past President Russ Swain. And the picnic starts at 11:30. Please bring your dish that you've signed up for, also a chair. And this year, we are going to be a little bit greener and not purchasing water bottles. So we will have water, bring your own bottle if you prefer that. Other than that, we're excited to see you on Saturday up on the mountain.
Okay, right next to her, you can give the mic to Jamie Goldsmith about SOAR.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Goldsmith. I'm the chairperson for the SOAR ceremony, honoring the outstanding first responders in the Valley. So we will have police and fire personnel from Boulder City, Mesquite, Pahrump, Las Vegas, Clark County. Mayor Goodman is opening the ceremony. Mayor Pro Temp Fiore will be present. We also have some city council members that are attending as well. So we're getting some really good responses. Our major need is attendance. So if you could please mark on your calendar September 16th. Breakfast is being catered by Treasure Island starting at 8 a.m. And then we will start the ceremony in the city council chambers at Las Vegas City Hall at 8:45. And parking is validated. Thank you.
Okay, right next to her, past President Karen Wisenhunt on Open World.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. As you know, we have the team of educators coming from the Ukraine. The dates that they're coming are October 11th to the 19th, and they come here under the program to look at our educational system. So what we're looking for is some host families to host one of the delegates in your homes, and we are also looking for volunteers who can help us take them from one event to the next throughout the week. So if you're interested in volunteering, if you only have a half a day, we'll take it. If you can host family, we'll take that too. However you want to be involved, we can make it happen for you. So thank you, and just let me know.
Okay, next to past President Jim Cole about Project 150.
That's good. I'm getting some steps in. I was just stuck back there, right?
I'll remember that next week.
President Jackie and fellow Rotarians, I just wanted to remind you we're doing the clothing drive for Project 150 for the benefit of the kids who are, as you recall, they are homeless high school children who are actively enrolled in school and trying to graduate and wanting to make something of themselves. So this is a great, worthwhile core project for us to support. We're going to be collecting socks, underwear, bras, and feminine products on the last week in August to take up there and distribute. So please remember to bring them. And if you are a lazy shopper and just want to order them online, please remember to go to Amazon.com and use our Smile account so that some of the money will come to our foundation. It's a great program, and especially remember this around Christmas time. And then just a off-topic announcement. If you haven't been looking at the live stream, it's kind of cool. I've been talking with Saman Simpath from Bangalore, India, and also, I'm going to butcher this name, I'm sure I'm going to just pronounce it as Vusi Zimba. I'm not sure where Vusi's from, but people from around the world are checking in on our club. So have fun and stream the video.
Probably rugby supporters checking in.
Exactly. Now take the mic, please, to Kirk Alexander about Spread the Word Nevada.
All right, in the Green Book, there's a thank you card written by one of the students that benefits from our program, Spread the Word Nevada. There's also some comments in here that they've written that they would like to have us understand how they feel about what Spread the Word means to these kids. There was a survey done, and the comments go like this. Keep going. You guys are doing something great for myself and my son. We've been joining you guys for a few years now. Thank you, fourth grader and parent. Second comment, thank you for the books. Honestly, I wish I lived in a library, from Matilda, fourth grader. Thank you for providing this space to encourage reading and bring families together, a parent. And the big thank you from Spread the Word Nevada reads, your gift means the world to spread the word Nevada and has changed the worlds of the children that we are so honored to serve. Thank you for being our partners and believing in the magic of books. So Spread the Word is doing some great stuff. If you look at the message that the president has in the wheel about we read, this kind of stuff is making a world impact. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Michael. Today's raffle drawing. It's $2,137 plus today's take. Ticket to draw for the Joker, 5440687. 0687. Oh, here comes Bob. Okay, the ticket for the Lowry Bucks, 5440738. 0738. All right, Doug. Okay, now I'd like to invite forward Randy Campanelli, past President Randy Campanelli, to introduce our speaker.
Well, it's an honor to introduce Tom Thomas. I don't have any prepared remarks, which is a good thing, because I left my reading glasses at the office, so I couldn't have read it anyways. I do want to tell you, number one, he's past president from 99-2000. I didn't have the pleasure of serving under him as a board member, but I have had the pleasure of serving under him and with him on the foundation board. And so as we do these deliberations on what's going to happen and trying to just lay a little pipe, if you will, for 3 years from now with our big 100th anniversary project. The wealth of knowledge he has is amazing, but it's not the wealth of knowledge so much as all of the organizations in the city that are charitable that he works with. And so that, frankly, nobody really knows about. So I would say I've noticed a couple of few people in my life in Vegas that you look at the good things that happened, and those kind of folks were there at the beginning with the idea or making it happen or starting the fundraising or making the phone calls. And so I want to tell you sincerely that Tom Thomas is one of them. So here he is, Tom Thomas.
Thank you, Randy. It's really a pleasure for me to be speaking to my club, to be amongst great friends and people I admire and enjoy serving with us in our community. And since I'm going to be speaking about Kilimanjaro, it's an honor to have a visitor with us, a fellow Rotarian from Kenya, since this mountain is shared by Tanzania and Kenya as the highest peak in Africa. So a couple months ago, past President Jim Cole asked if I would talk about my adventure to Kilimanjaro, which was the second time, actually, I went there to climb. And I thought it might be interesting to contrast Kilimanjaro with climbing in the Himalaya, which I did a year ago this past March. Partly because both of those treks and hikes end up on people's bucket list. And what I'm hopeful of doing is giving you some insights into whether or not you keep it on your bucket list. They are both great adventures, but they do take a little effort and preparation. So to begin, I thought maybe I would start with why mountaineering. And you'll notice it says why men climb mountains. I am not trying to be politically incorrect. That's what appears on the back of this first edition of the story of the climbing of Mount Everest, when Tenzing Norgay and Sir Edmund Hillary first climbed Everest. And the quote that you see is from a man named Maurice Herzog, a rather famous climber in his own right, since he and his French partner, Louis Lacanal, were the first to climb an 8,000-meter peak, which was Annapurna, in 1950. And for me, this kind of tells why men and women go to the mountains. It's not about reaching the summit. It's about expanding our boundaries and doing things that press us into just a new experience in our lives. This quote's even more meaningful for me because when Maurice Herzog finished summiting Annapurna, he lost all of his toes and most of his fingers to frostbite. That was the extent to which these men and then later women went to basically achieve what was considered to be the impossible. The picture to the right is of my team on the mountain that we went to the Himalaya to climb, called Imjasi, and I'll speak a little bit more about that. So there are many great women mountaineers, too. But in the early years, the golden years of summiting the highest peaks in the world, basically during the 50s and the 60s, there were no women mountaineers. The first woman to summit Mount Everest was Junko Tabe, and she did it in 1975. Since then, there have been many very notable female mountaineers who achieved great things. Alison Hargreaves is one who was really most notable. She, just make sure I get everything right on her. So she was the first woman to summit Mount Everest without any assistance, meaning no Sherpa support. And she did it without supplemental oxygen in 1995. In fact, it was in that year that she attempted to become the first person, man or woman, to summit all three of the highest peaks in the world in the same year. She successfully summited Everest, and then she successfully summited K2, which is arguably the most difficult of the high peaks to summit. But on the way down from the summit with her team of 4, they were blown off the mountain by a severe storm. And so she perished in that same year, not having the chance to go to the third of the highest mountains. And then finally, there's Gerlinde Kaltenbrunner. She is the only woman to have summited all 14 of the 8,000 meter peaks without supplemental oxygen. And she's still a very successful and active climber today. So I would suggest that my reason for climbing the high mountains is likely the same reason that most of us go camping or boating or out on any adventure that takes us away from these concrete jungles in which we live. As I've climbed in the high places of Antarctica and Africa, the Himalaya, and along the western range of the Sierras and the Cascades, I've asked a lot of other climbers why they're there. What are they doing it for? And there are many different answers, but there's a commonality that underlies all of them. They're all leaving, for the most part, urban centers, and they're looking for an opportunity to go to distant, exotic places and put themselves in uncomfortable and possibly dangerous circumstances because they want to experience life to its fullest. This picture was taken from our high camp on Kilimanjaro just before going to the summit. We were at about 15,000 feet at that point. So getting back to exotic places to climb, Kilimanjaro, which you can access from either the Tanzanian side or the Kenyan side, is absolutely a magical mountain. Of the 7 highest summits on the 7 continents, Kilimanjaro is the easiest to access and is technically the easiest to climb because it does not require technical gear. This doesn't quite come all the way across the page, but Kilimanjaro is the highest of all freestanding mountains in the world, which means that it is not a part of a separate mountain range like Everest or Denali in Alaska. Kilimanjaro is just a single giant massif sitting on the Serengeti Plains. It's also the most ecologically diverse of any high mountain in the world. It allows you to hike through 5 separate climactic zones on your way to the summit. Unfortunately, the snow is slowly disappearing. The snow mass on Kilimanjaro has been reduced over the past 70 years by something like 50-60%. And it is the most climbed of all the 7 summits by far, with some 25,000 to 30,000 people a year going up. And because of the types of people that go over and try to climb to that altitude, it has one of the lower success rates because you see every shape and size on Kilimanjaro. And it does take a lot physically to go to 19,300 feet. It does not have a high fatality rate. The fatalities are really related to heart attack, as you might imagine. And in fact, on our summit day, I noticed a guy who was struggling, had turned around and was coming back down under his own power, but I later learned that he suffered a heart attack and did not get off the mountain. He expired. So Kilimanjaro is considered a walk-up hike or a trek, meaning you don't have to use any type of technical equipment. You don't need crampons. You don't even need micro spikes. You just walk up it. But it takes a while to walk up it, as you can imagine. And as I mentioned, you walk through beautiful, separate types of climactic zones that are very unusual. To be at 14,000 feet and have the amount of vegetation that you see in this middle slide is incredible. I don't know if it exists anywhere else in the world. On the far right, it's very hard to see in this picture, but there are about 200 people ascending what's called the Barranco Wall, which is at about 12,000 feet. Most of those are porters, and they're carrying 60 pounds on their backs, going up a wall where it's basically a class 3 scramble because you're using your hands, but you don't need any ropes. You can't see the table on the far right-hand side, but I'll just mention that on the routes going up Kilimanjaro, for the most part, you're going to stay in huts except for one route. and it's called the Coca-Cola route. And, in most routes you stay in tents, except one route, and you stay in huts all the way up. They label it the Coca-Cola route because it just happens to be the most popular route for Americans, as you might imagine. They're staying in huts, they're not carrying tents. When you eat, because you're eating communally, and you have cooks that are cooking for you, the food is wonderful. They do a wonderful job cooking it. Unfortunately, because you're eating communally, there's also a great opportunity for viruses. And this last time I went, our group of 10, 7 of us contracted the norovirus, which is the virus that we hear about on cruise ships that affects people. It only lasts for about 36 hours, but when you're at altitude and you're climbing and you have the norovirus, it's a very difficult thing. I lost 9 pounds from the norovirus before I basically had recovered fully from it. So it can be very impacting, and it probably causes some groups to take a lot more care on the way the food is prepared, because obviously it's all being done communally. So, as I mentioned, there are numerous routes that go up Kilimanjaro. The route that I took in March, the Machame route, is the second most popular, probably because it kind of corkscrews around the mountain and gives you the most visibility of the incredible flora and fauna that is on the mountain. You basically need to devote somewhere between 5 and 7 days, and it really depends on your own acclimatization, how fast you can climb. The body doesn't respond well when it's going up to 20,000 feet if you push it more than a couple thousand feet per day. So that really determines how long you take on the mountain. And then the cost ranges between $1,500, $2,200, and that really depends on the level of services and the types of foods that you're eating. And if you hire a purely American-based company like an REI, you will pay more than if you go through a company in Kenya like we did. We hired directly, we went to a local company, and they were fabulous, really an excellent group to climb with. And then on these 2 slides, you can basically see on this lower one, that's approaching the summit. You're not on snow, unfortunately, because a lot of it has melted away. And it's a walk-up hike, but it is cold. It's 0, -5, wind chill can get it -10 on the top. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of support. You are not allowed by the Tanzanian government to climb Mount Kilimanjaro under your own support. You don't carry your own food, you don't carry your own gear. You are required to hire tents, or required porters, guides, and cooks. For a group of 10 people, it's typical to have 40 in support. And this is a wonderful thing for the Tanzanian economy, because a porter that will do a 6-day trip up Mount Kilimanjaro will make as much as an average worker in Tanzania for an entire month. They are very highly sought after jobs. These guys are phenomenally strong, and they're wonderful, happy, energetic, engaged people. We spent a lot of time just sitting around talking to our porters because it was so much fun to get to know them. They are limited on the loads they're able to carry. So they can't carry more than 40 pounds of group gear, and then they carry their own stuff in addition to that. So typically they're carrying about 60 pounds up these mountains, which is a good load. It's a very good load. So now let me move on to the Himalaya and talk briefly, just a little bit about the difference between going and trekking in Africa and trekking in the Himalaya range. It is very popular now. There are a lot of groups servicing trekkers going into Everest Base Camp, and that's kind of what you hear. To get to Everest Base Camp is a nice long trek up the Khumbu Valley. It's a national park. It's serviced with lots of little villages along the way with names like Dingboche and Tengboche and the Namche Bazaar. There are beautiful monasteries at each of these villages. Most people going into the Himalaya are doing so because they want to do a trek, and most of the treks go to the Everest Base Camp because of the mystery and the mystique of Mount Everest being the highest peak in the world. We went there with a desire to climb a high mountain as opposed to go to Everest Base Camp. And the mountain we chose is called Imjasi, which means island peak because it kind of stands alone in the middle of the Imja Glacier. It's 5 miles to the southeast of Everest, and it's in the shadow of Lhotse, which is the peak just next to Everest. So while we were climbing on Imjasi, or Island Peak, we couldn't see Everest because all we could see was Lhotse. But Lhotse is at 27,800 feet. So we were always craning our necks to look straight up at this unbelievable mountain above us. Interestingly enough, Imjasi, the first time it was climbed, was by Hillary and his team in 1953. They used it to acclimatize to get ready to climb Mount Everest. So that was the first time it had been explored and climbed. It's also popular because it's literally within 5 feet of the height of Denali, which is the highest peak in the North American continent, and sits in Alaska. The trek that most people do then is going into base camp. The average time it takes on the trek up and back is in the 12 to 14 day range. So round trip, these trips typically are about 20 days when you consider leaving your home and getting over there and getting over to Lukla where you start. That's the trailhead. And then climbing and coming back down and flying back home. It's a major commitment to go for 20 days. We didn't do it that way. We cut it a little short. And the way we did so is we helicoptered back after we had summited from our base camp. We helicoptered all the way back to Kathmandu. And we cut off basically 5 days. And our round trip was 15 days. The cost ranges again by who you hire to take you and what you're expecting them to provide for you. But this cost is a fully supported trek, meaning there are Sherpa that are carrying the majority of your gear and you're just wearing day packs and hiking. And that's why it's so popular and so doable, because you're not trudging along with 50 pounds on your back, you've got 15 pounds on your back. And that makes a huge difference when you're climbing at altitude. So trekking in the Himalayas is interesting. Rather than dealing with the multiple climate zones that you have in Kilimanjaro, you pass through basically 3 climate zones. But here again, it's amazing to see the amount of trees that are living at altitudes way above our tree line in the United States. You cross numerous long bridges. These bridges have all been built from the fees that climbers pay to climb Mount Everest. They've replaced all of the rope and wood bridges with very sturdy metal bridges. And as you might expect, these bridges are used by people and animals, and any of the animals with horns get the right-of-way. And we spent a lot of time sitting there and just waiting for the yak to make up his mind whether he was coming across or not. The living conditions are very different along the trekking in the Himalaya. You stay in what are called tea houses. And as you can see from the Comfort Inn sign, Nepal doesn't have a whole lot to do with trademark and copyright enforcement. We saw a Marriott tea house. We saw a Sheraton tea house. There was any name that you could come up with. There were no Ritz-Carltons. The tea houses are not heated. All the bedrooms that you stay in are unheated. There's a single bathroom for everybody to use. it's not a flushing bathroom by any means, but there is one single central room, which is the restaurant, where everybody congregates, and there is a single wood-burning stove, so you get there early to sit close to that stove. At night, our rooms, as we ascended up to higher and higher altitudes, we started with our rooms basically in the 30-degree range, and they dropped down to basically about 0 at 2, 3 in the morning. So you are taking a really nice sleeping bag with you. That's one of the more important pieces of equipment that you take to the Himalayas, a good sleeping bag. And then layers. The picture on the right is basically how you're going to end up at your base camp. Very typical tents, somewhat of a communal meeting place together. And our base camp at the bottom of Imjasi was at 16,500 feet. So you have already acclimatized your way up to this level. That's what all the walking in does for you. You're going up. Every other day, you'll stay an extra night at a tea house and then go out for a hike and go up 2,000 to 3,000 feet. And that acclimatizes your body and helps you start producing more red blood cells and enables you to go to altitude. The hiking is much different in the Himalaya than it is on Kilimanjaro. It is technical. And this is on the upper reaches of Imjase. The picture on the left, I've just crossed 6 aluminum ladders that were all tied together with ski rope. And I'm belaying my friend, Kenny O'Connell, as he comes across. And then he'll belay the next guy in our party across. And these types of crevasses are typical. This one was 80 feet deep, 35 feet wide. And you cross them by tying a bunch of ladders together. It's basically the only way you're going to do it. The Sherpas walk across the ladder as if it's a 5-foot wide sidewalk. And we are roped in. I mean, if we fall off the ladder, we looked at it and thought, I think the crawling method might be ideal for this. The picture on the right, it's a little hard to see. This is the head wall. Most climbs have a crux, have a difficult section, and the head wall is the last thing you do to get to the summit of Imjasi. This was about 400 vertical feet. It's a 50-degree angle, and so you are now climbing with crampons. But what's hard to tell in this picture is on this steep of a wall of snow and ice, you use a fixed line. So the best guy in the group, or somebody before your group, has climbed up while being belayed, and he is attaching rope to the mountain with ice screws and pickets to permanently fix rope onto the side of the mountain. The rest of the climbers follow using a device called a Jumar, which is a one-way cam device. So it only goes up and it doesn't slip back down. And as you climb, you have the Jumar in your hand, and you just step, step, move the Jumar, step, step, move the Jumar, step, step, move the Jumar. It's an extremely effective way of climbing. It's the way you climb on Everest, up the Lhotse Face or up the Hillary Step. And it's been utilized for 50 years, and it works really well as long as the ice screws and the pickets stay in the mountain. It works really, really well. Speaking about climbing at altitude, though, let me just mention how that works, since we're all going to be going up to Lee Canyon. So at sea level, the oxygen content of the air at sea level is 21%. And this percentage doesn't change as you climb higher and you go higher. However, the lower air pressure diminishes the amount of oxygen that goes into each breath of your lung. So it's like thinking that, yeah, there's still as much oxygen in the air, but all the oxygen molecules are further apart. So when you take a deep breath, you're just getting fewer oxygen molecules. So when you go up to Lee Canyon on Saturday, if you come up, at 8,000 feet, the effective oxygen you're breathing is at 0.2%. 15% compared to 21% at sea level, or a 25% reduction in oxygen. Here on the Imja Sea wall, where we're climbing at 20,000 feet, the effective oxygen is 9.7%, or a 55% decrease from sea level. And when you're on the top of Mount Everest at 29,000 feet, your effective oxygen is now 7%, or a 70% decrease from sea level. So when you hear about people summiting Everest, and then they're coming back down, and they're waiting at the Hillary step for others to go through, and they expire, they pass out, and they cannot be revived. Unfortunately, what oftentimes has happened is they're using supplemental oxygen, they're on an oxygen tank. That oxygen tank is supplying them with oxygen probably at about 20,000 feet, like where we're climbing. We did not use oxygen. You don't need it at 20,000 feet. You can acclimatize your body to that level. But if your body suddenly goes from 20,000 feet to 29,000 feet, just that decrease of 15% available oxygen molecules causes you to pass out, your heart arrests, and you're done. And that's what I think was the story for a number of those people this year that we heard about that expired. Their oxygen, supplemental oxygen, ran out because they were waiting around to go up and down the mountain. As you might imagine, there are no roads in and out of these Himalayan villages. Everything serving tens of thousands of people in all of these villages goes up the mountain either on somebody's back or on a yak. It's the only two ways it goes. And these porters, who many of them were 5'3", 5'4", the Sherpa, they might have weighed 140 pounds. They were carrying loads in excess of 100 pounds. And they don't use any of the things that we use on our backpacks. There are no waist straps. There are no shoulder straps. All the weight rests on their backs, and then there is a strap going across their forehead, and they bear all of that weight. And we saw guys carrying 4 sheets of plywood up trails, 4 by 8 foot pieces of plywood with the wind blowing. Unbelievable. Cinder blocks, naturally cases of beer. You know, I don't know how anybody consumes alcohol at 15,000 feet, but they do, and a lot of it. And it all has to be carried up the mountain. So going to these, the Himalayas are the most magnificent mountains. They're basically indescribable. And when you go there, in many ways you are touching God. You are seeing just the greatest and the most spectacular creations. The picture above, that ice and snow cliff is 3,000 vertical feet high. Absolutely incredible. And then the lower picture is of the town of Namche Bazaar, which 20,000 people, and they're just glued to the side of this steep mountainside. Beautiful little city. One of the most invigorating experiences in getting into the Himalaya is actually getting to the trailhead. Anybody going to Everest or to Everest Base Camp or trekking has to land in Lukla. This is the airport. There are no do-overs. The pilot either hits it and lands it and slows down, or you're basically paced on the side of this cliff. It was unbelievable. And what you can't see from this picture is immediately to the left of that runway is the landing area for multiple helicopters moving in and out. So at any given time you have planes landing and 5 or 6 helicopters taking off and landing off of a half-acre little plot right next to the runway. The FAA is nowhere in sight. So let me just finish on a discussion of mountaineering with this picture that became very famous due to the overcrowding on Mount Everest this year. For those of you who can see it, this is just before the Hillary Step. The Hillary Step is one of the most difficult parts of climbing Everest, and it's only 200 vertical feet from the top. But you have to go single file to get through there. And when you have 200 plus people all trying to get to the summit of Everest within the same narrow weather window, you end up with a Congo line like this. And it causes a lot of problems. I mean, when I look at this, I think, why not just stay in LA on the 405? It's a lot cheaper. And this, unfortunately, when we talk about the reason why men and women go to the mountains, and as I said, it's the same reason we all go to the woods and we go camping and boating, because we wish to learn what life has to teach. Unfortunately, in that effort, the desire to achieve can overwhelm good sense. In mountaineering, it's called summit fever. And it basically leads to this type of a situation where people have waited for years and paid tens of thousands of dollars, and there's only 3 days with hundreds of people on the mountain in which the weather is good enough for them to go up, because the top of Mount Everest is in the jet stream. So on a normal weather day, the wind is blowing at 70 to 90 miles an hour. It's only when the jet stream literally drops in the middle of May and you only have 15 to 20 mile an hour winds that everybody shoots for the top. And this is what you run into. And this year, it was probably one of the reasons that 11 people passed away within 3 days on Mount Everest. The other reason, though, is the same reason that there's only a 65% summit rate on Mount Kilimanjaro. It's hard going to altitude. And with this desire to summit, a lot of people trying to go to the top of Everest just shouldn't be there. They just don't have the physical capacity to be there. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the club today. I hope you are all ready to sign up for your bucket list items. Pardon me? Thanks. Oh, yeah, sure. Some questions? Yeah. Annie?
I have been to both mountains. I didn't climb as high as you did, but I just want to say that I really recommend it to everybody, no matter how old they are, what kind of shape they're in, that it's worth the trip. Also, Antarctica, also another one that is worth going to.
Yeah. There is a mountain for everyone. It might not be Everest, and it might not be Kilimanjaro, but there are mountains for everyone.
I know. Okay, so what do you do once you decide to do one of these extraordinary climbs to prepare yourself? Like, how far in advance do you decide? Do you go to an oxygen bar? Do you, like, your diet changes, your exercise routine? What do you do to prepare?
Well, I'm always doing this. I'm always climbing. 3 weeks ago, I climbed Mount Rainier, and in November, I'm going to the Mexican volcano. So my training is just always doing what I'm doing. But Mount Charleston is a phenomenal training mountain to prepare for any mountain you want to go to. It goes to 12,000 feet. It's got plenty of long trails to hike on. And for many people, it's not necessarily getting ready to hike uphill. It's getting your legs ready to go downhill. There's an amazing amount of strain on your quads and your knees as you descend, especially if you're carrying any kind of weight. So you have to pay as much attention to walking downhill as uphill, so Stairmasters don't cut it. You cannot prepare for these mountains in a gym. Put on a backpack, go out and climb Mount Charleston, and you can prepare yourself for any mountain. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom, for speaking today and sharing your adventures. I'd like to present you with the Share What You Can Award, which means we are going to donate to the local USO in your name.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
In the words of a woman I most admire, Amelia Earhart, no kind action ever stops with itself. One kind action leads to another. Let's leave today building connections, taking kind action, serving one another, and rejoicing in the fellowship of Rotary. Meeting adjourned.